Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody to the Clarksburg Select Board Meeting, October 24th, Monday at 4 p.m. I'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. We'll go right down to the interview candidates for the animal control.
Okay, she hasn't gotten here yet. She's supposed to be here at 4:15.
Okay, so we'll just come back to that. MVP update.
Wasn't there an email about?
One of them is sick.
Oh, okay, so there was multiple?
Yeah.
Okay.
This might be her.
Okay, well, we'll give a quick MVP update. We posted in various places everything that's coming up for the MVP. So I just want to let everybody know that they're at Town Hall, Library, Senior Center, Fire Station, I believe, and all around notices. So it's very important that we show up to as many of these as we can. I realize we can't, not everybody can make them all. But town input is very important at this point. There's some grants out there that we can get for the town field and
Fixing up stuff.
yep, so, and then the other thing on that, they had a meeting today from 10 till noon, and we went down to the Beaver Street dam that they were going to get rid of. It's mostly washed out as it is, but then they came up here, and the only point here was, is we discussed, what they need to look out for that could be issues. So I told them everything was hindsight, but the big thing was that they didn't come back after Irene came, and that we now, 13 years later, we have big issues. So they agreed and were very happy to hear from us, and that in the future, so it's not going to really help us, but they may help speed along some fixes up there, but that they will make sure when they do future projects that they have follow-up over the next couple of years after to make sure everything's working all right. So that's that. Hi, how are you?
Hey, good, how are you?
Good. You're here for the animal control?
I am.
I'm Bob.
I am Kim.
Kim?
Colton, Andrews.
I'm Dan, nice to
Hey,
meet
Dan.
you.
And that's Carl?
Hello.
Yes, so you're all set for now. Carl said that at 4:15 you're coming on, but we can take you here.
Okay, all right, I'm always early, I'm sorry. I've been sitting out there for like 10 minutes, I'm like, I was gonna go in.
Yes, well, thank you.
Great,
Nice-
thank you.
Nice to meet you, Kim.
Nice to meet you too.
Yes, as you probably know, we were unable to keep our police department going. And we are relying on the state police for major things, and we're going to try to employ Mike somehow, our former chief, to do other duties that we can't, but we are in need for an animal control officer. So if you'd like to tell us a little bit about yourself, appreciate it.
I cover Adams. Adams is my full-time job.
Okay.
I work 6 to 1:30, 6 in the morning till 1:30 in the afternoon, and they call me as needed. I also cover Cheshire and Savoy. I've had 2 calls for Savoy this year, 7 for Cheshire. Savoy, I do their barn inspections as well as Adams. I don't for Cheshire, they have someone who does that. I've been with Adams for, it'll be 12 years in February. With the other 2 towns, it's been 2 years.
Okay.
And I'm busy, but I have found that I'm not, I thought I'd be crazy busy. They don't really get a lot of calls. Cheshire, while their officers will handle stuff, but they'll call me and say, hey, this is what I'm gonna do, is this right? So they try to do that to save themselves a little bit of money instead of having me come in.
Okay.
But I love my job.
All right. And how does that work as far as like pay go? Do you go
So
per?
with the other 2 towns, we did a contract. I clock in with Adams for Cheshire and Savoy. I'm trying to get away from that, and I'll tell you why. For Cheshire and Savoy, I told them what I wanted for a rate, and they agreed to it. It was $45 an hour. Well, I didn't read my contract, and neither did our selectmen. My contract says I can only make time and a half. So I'm doing it for $32 and some change, where I live right here. I live right on the border of Clarksburg and North Adams, on Daniels Road on the North Adams end.
Okay.
So I'm traveling farther for almost like less money. So I'm trying to get away from, I actually just emailed the chief in Cheshire, I'm going to try and then meet with our town administrator and try to work for them directly. So the way I can't, because they don't have any way to do payroll, so I have to keep it through the town of Adams. So I don't know how you guys would work that.
Normally, we've done a stipend plus expenses.
Okay.
Is that how you would prefer it?
We could talk about that, yeah, that would be fine. I do a 2-hour minimum call-in when they call me. I mean, I'm closer here, so we might be able to tweak that a little bit.
Mike, do you
It has to be
know
worth it for both of us.
Yeah, absolutely.
how many animal incidents we have a year, about, kind of, sort of? I'm not gonna hold you to it.
Well, we get more than 2 a year. I'm not quite sure. I did have in a lot of the animals when I did the logs.
Yeah.
Put in a lot of the animals. I mean, some of the stuff is, you know, like barking dogs. You know, or I got a loose dog, or somebody picks up a dog and calls and says, hey, I got this dog, can you come and get it?
Okay.
We do get a few dog bites
Yeah.
issues.
Okay.
Maybe only a few a year.
Okay.
It's more of the people calling in and saying, hey, my neighbor, and we get a few of them where it's repetitive, the same place. Usually it's, you know, you go down, let the dog in, or, and it usually resolves the situation.
Now, do you guys have a pound or a kennel for you? No. Okay.
No, we were, so we were using North Adams.
Okay.
With the new facility, when it got put in, it was kind of off and on. We hadn't contracted with them. We were kind of working to do that.
Okay.
But then it just kind of got bounced around.
Understandable, okay. I mean, we could probably talk to Adams to see if you could work something with them, because
Okay.
Cheshire, that's what Cheshire does, that's what Savoy does. I haven't had to utilize it yet, I think once for Cheshire we've had to. And then they would just reimburse Adams or whatnot, you know what I mean? That would be something you would have to talk to our chief and our town administrator about.
Okay.
I do have the rabies vaccine. I don't know if you knew that we're supposed to have them.
No.
I do have it. I have to have my titers checked every several years.
Okay.
If the titers are low, then I get a booster. I did the ACOM course, which is a 12-week course in Worcester. I've done all the core competency courses, and I'm 4 points ahead for next year for my training so far.
All right.
Okay.
I like to learn, because they're always changing things, there's always new things coming out. I'm in close contacts with MSPCA law enforcement. They have backed me up on a lot of things, because I don't know all of the laws. I try to be very thorough.
Okay, great.
Okay, good to know.
You have any questions?
No,
No, so what type of calls do you, I mean, really barking dog, I'm assuming we're not gonna call you in for a barking dog, 'cause it would, I mean, what's your thoughts on that, Mike? Like,
Well, it all
just coming from the
depends
police side of it and doing it
on-
previously,
I
but,
mean, it all depends on how the call goes.
yeah,
I mean, if the people call the state police and say, hey, my neighbor, and the state police send a cruiser down.
Yeah.
And they go to the people and say, hey, the state police don't, you know, the only issue you probably run into is when people have called the state police a few times, either they showed up and they told the people, but it's persistent, and, or the state police couldn't come and nobody came, but it's a persistent thing, and they're calling to talk to the animal control
Yeah.
officer to say it's an
Gotcha.
ongoing issue. But that's kind of how it goes. Probably like at nighttime, it may just go directly to the state police. and-
gotcha, I was just wondering how that,
That-
you know, a simple call like that, you know, like,
Yeah.
how would,
Sometimes the state police, like for Cheshire, if Cheshire is not on, say they're not, I don't want to say not open, but if they're not on, they'll call me and say, hey, can you handle this? They'll give me
Yeah.
the person's number, I'll call. I don't charge hours for doing that, you know, I usually, if I'm on the phone for half an hour, then I'm gonna bill you a half an hour.
Yeah.
But, the thing is with the barking dogs, like he's saying, if it's consistent, I mean, I've done many nuisance dog hearings with Adams. Because some people, after you leave, they're like, the heck with you.
Yeah.
And they just let the dogs bark and bark. And I don't know about your bylaws, I've never looked at them. In Adams, there is something that you are allowed to have peace and quiet. So I don't know what you guys have for bylaws. You have a leash law in Clarksburg?
Yes.
Okay, that's a good thing.
A few years ago, we had adopted and put in our own bylaws, consistent with the state's
Okay,
laws.
good,
So
okay,
pretty much it's the same writing, same everything.
okay,
Well, the difference is instead of having it be where you have to take it to court, we have fines put on it. We do have 41D citations,
okay.
so you can write citations on those issues.
Okay, okay.
So if a call, I know you say you work from 6 to 1:30 in Adam, so if a call came in between that time, would just kind of try to handle it after?
I would try to handle it after, but I can also handle it on the phone if I have to.
Okay.
You know what I mean? If you, say you call me and say, Ken, this is what happened, what can we do? I mean, I don't have it with me often in the car,
Yeah.
but I always have my phone on.
Okay. All right, good one.
I mean, unless I'm in the hospital or something, you're not
Yeah.
gonna get me. Even on vacation, I answer my phone for the towns and try to advise them. Or I would just can't, you know, if it was a bad thing, I would talk to my chief and say, hey, I'm gonna clock out, I'll use an hour sick time or whatever if
Yeah.
I have to. If it was something bad.
All right.
If it was something that could wait, then it would be after
Okay,
that.
all right, excellent, thank you.
Carl, do you have anything to add? Chief, would you, anything else?
No, I think that's,
Well, and I guess the big thing then, you're willing to work like on a stipend issue, we can discuss.
Yeah, we would talk
that.
about it and see, you know, work it on basically, how do you do it per call? Do you do it, I know Florida Mountain, one of my friends is up there.
Chief was doubling as our,
And they do a very low stipend, and I said to my friend, I said, it's not even worth for you, and I know it sounds awful, but
Yeah.
it kind of worth you getting in your vehicle to do something, because, yeah, if you go to a dangerous dog's house, you're putting your life at risk at times.
Yeah.
You know, I
What's the
mean,
stipend, is it, what, 1,500?
I think what we were doing like a few years back when we had somebody was, you know, because we didn't require like anything, any of so much every pay week, we get paid bi-weekly.
Okay,
That would have to be determined on, you know, what the amount is, but we did, I'm not sure what the exact amount was for what we budgeted. And it was just basically every 2 weeks, no matter what, how many hours we put in or weren't.
okay.
So it was like an annual stipend, like you're on a call.
Right. I mean, kind of like at times that maybe dead, you're not getting nothing for them.
Right, right.
Yeah.
It just depends on how it falls. I mean, sometimes it's quiet.
I know, and other times, you want to figure it out.
Yeah, and that's the thing for budgeting, obviously, we have to budget by per year or whatever, so that's probably why that happened like that.
Yeah, I
But
mean-
we would have to discuss and talk about possibly doing it per call, or
Okay.
trying to figure out what we want.
Do you have any tools, catch poles, things like that, bike gloves, stuff like that?
We have 2 catch poles, a small one and a long one.
Okay,
We got a big, huge cage which sits in the garage.
okay,
And then we have like a mid-sized cage, you know, metal cage.
do you have bike gloves?
No, we don't have any bike gloves.
They've come in handy many of times.
I don't know what we have in the budget for the animal control. I know we didn't have much expenses because we kind of ran them through the police
Yeah.
on expenses.
Yeah.
But we did have some, I don't know what we had in there for money into that account. No, at one time we had put money in there.
Yeah, I think there is money, it's just,
Because I know at one time we were talking, we had put money in there because we were talking, when we were talking with North Adams, there was a question on if we were gonna have to pay for the usage of the facility. And so we wanted to have money there when budget came in case that's what happened with it. So there's some money in there. The other thing was, we kind of ran the animal control as the animal inspector, appointed through the Board of Health. And we had put budgeted money into that account. We're doing like the barn.
Barn inspection?
Yeah, so we paid like hourly on that. And we only got a few places that need inspection and
Okay.
that was kind of the setup we had arranged on
aren't
that.
dog kennels now gotta be inspected also? I think that's a new law that just got passed.
I don't know.
If you have, I think it's more than 4 or 5 dogs, it's considered, you have to have a kennel license.
Right.
So they have to have certain enclosures for them.
Yep,
And they're supposed to apply for kennel licenses through the town and through the state.
Well, we have a licensed kennel.
You do,
We
okay.
do.
Okay. They have a boarding kennel, correct?
Correct. Yeah, it's a board.
Yes, I think.
Yeah, I was on there.
Well,
Haven Woods or
Yeah.
something like
Yeah,
that.
Haven
See,
Woods.
I've seen the advertisements.
we got that, which is a boarding kennel, so I don't know if that falls underneath that because it's,
See, we don't have any in
they
town.
just have them where they, like, keep them for a few days or a week or,
I think there is an inspection, I'll have to find out. I can find out from Boston on that. We don't have any in Adams, so I don't,
and from my understanding from 3 weeks ago from Maryland, we only had one person with a kennel license.
okay,
That's an individual that had a kennel license.
okay.
So what would the intentions be to combine the two positions for one appointment or no?
For
For the inspector and, or do we have a separate
animal
inspector?
control, I think covers both, right?
No.
No.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Oh, yeah, then we would want to.
Right.
Well, here's my question, would you be interested in
Both.
Yeah.
positions?
I would, we have to talk on the money,
Yeah.
converting them. Animal control, you can go and tell someone about a quarantine, but only an animal inspector can issue an actual quarantine.
Quarantine, okay.
Say you have a dog bite, you have to issue the 10-day or 45-day or, so I could say, hey, yeah, your dog's under quarantine, and if they knew the rules, they could laugh at me and say, haha, you can't tell me that.
Okay,
So those are the two different things with the animal inspector. That's why most of the towns have the animal control and the animal inspector do the both.
Okay.
So that way you don't have to worry about it.
Okay, and you'd be willing to do that?
The animal inspector is appointed by the Board of Health. So they would have, they gotta.
They would have to be involved.
Norm would have to sign off on it and it would go to the Department of, whatever the department is, that's what it's.
Okay.
agriculture or something.
Well, you obviously are qualified.
Yeah,
It's just,
It's taken me a lot of years to learn most of it.
and we appreciate you coming. It's just like, you can see at this point, this is all new to us.
Yeah.
So we certainly would like to discuss it and then see what the options are. And I also believe there is another person that was interested, Carol, in this, so we'll have to wait and have that interview also. But are there any questions you have for us?
If I ever had a bad case, say there's a really bad dog case, and the state police can't come, would any one of you be willing to help me if I called you? I have to have some kind of,
Definitely.
I mean, my husband would definitely be willing to help me, but then that's a liability for you guys.
Yeah.
So I gotta have some kind of backup. I mean, if state police can't come, do I say, okay, I can't come yet? I can't go on this
I
call?
think we'll discuss that
Okay.
for giving you a
I mean, I
direct
wouldn't put
answer.
you in
on that.
harm's way, but I would want someone there, say, as my safety, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
understandable. No,
Give me an example of that falling out.
we'll discuss further on that one.
Oh, okay. A perfect example, I went on a call in Adams, these people owned a pit bull, and I love pit bulls, I'm not prejudiced. It was their own dog, it turned on the owner, it attacked him, and he ran out of the house. The lady locked herself in the bathroom. Our guys were on a call. I had no backup. So if I went into that apartment and that dog attacked me, who's there to help me? Or who's there to call for somebody to help me?
Yeah.
So I just like to know
Or even have a witness in case.
anything,
Yeah.
anything. I mean, if it's something bad or I'm having a problem with a person, then I usually step away and that's when I call the police, and I'll wait until the state police come if I have to. And all of them know me through Cheshire and Adams, so
Yeah.
I have a good rapport with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, we'll discuss it further.
Sounds good. Anything else?
That's it.
All right, and then we certainly will be in touch, but again, we'll have to discuss this.
Would you like my cell number, so you don't have to email me through the
Yes.
town?
If you want to write it down so that it doesn't, because we're on camera,
Oh, okay.
so don't want to
Not
get
as
the
much
word.
viewership, but
I'll just put it here. It's 413 also, I didn't put that on
I did
there.
watch him before I got on the board, so I'm
Okay.
trying to
Text
catch up.
off.
I do, yes, you can text me too, yes. Okay.
Nice meeting you, Kevin. Thank
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Hi, Phil, good to see you.
Okay, next is the opioid effort. Why I put this on, I was supposed to have a meeting right after this, and I want to make sure, I have my own personal feelings about everything, and obviously I can't speak for the board, I don't want to speak for Colton or Dan, so I want to at least tell you what my issues are. I think that the county as a whole can do much better if we all pool our money and go in that focus. But it's funny, the last 2 days I've been looking at this and looking at websites and stuff on this, and they're calling it harm reduction, which I having a little bit of a problem with. I'm not against harm reduction. It's to make sure people don't die from opioid. But it's like all the focus and money's going in to having like Spectrum down there on Current Highway, to having these issues where people can, take drugs to keep them from overdosing opioid. The Narcan, obviously how important that is. It saves lives. But I can't see anything that's going into prevention. And that's what I'm going to be bringing up when I go to these meetings. And that you're obviously, with email around, you're welcome to go to these meetings too. And I'll make sure when I speak up, I'm not speaking for the board, I'm speaking for myself, because you may have a complete different opinion. But it's fine, I'll just give you a couple examples. One, there was a retired admiral or colonel of the Army or Navy that had a little speech about accomplishments and how he gets cadets to love them and do what they want. And he had a list of 10 things, and the number one thing was make your bed in the morning. And I do. My wife and I make bed every morning. That gets you off to a good start. It's accomplishment. He had a speech of about 15 minutes that was excellent. And that's what we need young people to see. They need to, in my opinion, they need to say, hey, look, I can accomplish something. There's a purpose here for me. That will help to keep them from going on drugs and feeling bad.
My opinion on this, because the construction industry by far and large is the #1 industry for opiate use anywhere in the workforce. Internally, within my own organization, we've got 3 full-time recovery specialists that just work with our membership here in Massachusetts. It's a huge issue. Same thing. I think there was the big push for the longest time on kind of the enforcement and trying to crack down on drug use and things like that. And I can probably attest, it's to a point you're kind of fighting a losing battle if that's the approach. We've taken, I think, a lot more of a different approach, I say, per se, and how we kind of handle drug use within the industry. And it's more, I think, as you kind of pointed out, Bob, it's more on the education side of, unfortunately, it's going to happen. I think a lot of it coincides with mental health issues. It's usually a codependency in both departments. It's unfortunate situations. It's kids that kind of grow up in broken households, to whatever the situation is, whether, prescription drug abuse after injuries, things like that. From our perspective, Narcan's been a huge lifesaver, especially in construction. Like most of our bigger job sites now, we've got Narcan that's placed at various, points throughout the job site. Most specifically, the bathrooms and things like that, because those are usually the most common places that these type of things occur. So for us, I think education, to get into the schools, I understand it's crazy to think that, even some of the 6th, 7th, 8th grade kids really shouldn't be exposed to it.
Yeah.
But let's be realistic. Unfortunately, they are. Whether it's, the parents or family members or whomever, they're exposed to it. I don't think there's probably one person in this room that hasn't affected on some level or another. We've all dealt with it. So for me, I think resource-wise, if we do have an opportunity, I do agree with the fact, I think pooling some of the resources is probably a good idea. Unfortunately, I think like everything else, when you pool resources, the bigger municipalities are going to suck up a lot of those resources. So I think whatever money is allocated to the town, however we can kind of get the best bang for our buck and try to utilize it in that capacity, I think is the best option moving forward. But I think if we can really kind of, especially our town, the school, I think we all know, is really kind of the central hub for everything really on day to day. I think if there's a way to utilize the money in that regards, I think that's our best option. So
I think it's just education and trying to scare the bejesus out of them that, this is a one-way road. How do we get there, I guess?
Here's the problem. I don't think the scared straight approach when it comes to drug use nowadays, it's not effective. I think the older generation likes to think. I think, unfortunately, kids are going to be exposed to it. People are going to be exposed to it. It starts off small. It's, I can handle it all. My friends are doing it. It's unfortunate, but it's a slippery slope that happens very fast. I think explain the pitfalls and the dangers, obviously, to some of the school-age kids of, this is what can happen. I think bringing in some speakers to talk to these kids during some assemblies, like I remember growing up where there was a basketball player from the Celtics, Chris Hare, and we had him at school, and it opens up your eyes because this isn't just, I think, a poverty-driven issue where it's just, kind of the lower class. It affects everyone from A to Z. You could be a millionaire, and it's going to affect you because sometimes it's the people you least suspect, and they're the ones you don't really know have an issue, unfortunately, until it's too late. I've lost quite a few members, even from my own local, that people that I had absolutely no idea. We're talking, fathers and grandfathers, uncle. It doesn't show its ugly face until it's too late. So I think any resources should be directed directly at the school, especially in our town, our capacity of what we, I think, can get the most bang for our buck is to really highlight and kind of focus. Not even, I think, the middle school age kids, because there's a lot of kids that, you could teach a 4th or 5th grader. Unfortunately, it's a sad day and age, but teach a young kid how to administer Narcan, and they might be home with mom or dad or an uncle or a grandparent, and they run into that situation like, oh, mom or daddy's not waking up. If they know how to administer Narcan, that might save their life. Granted, I don't think it's something that's affecting Clarksburg on a dramatically high level, but it only takes one situation to really kind of open up our eyes to, put the effort in to make a difference. So that's my 2 cents on the subject.
No, my feelings from day one was try to keep this money in our town and teach our children, bring speakers in, make them aware of things. I'm not if there's a way to pool the money, but yet they help tap their resources for bringing in speakers. Like, I would be fine with that, but I just don't want it disappearing and then all of a sudden our school not seeing any education out of it. That's my biggest fear. If they say, just let us know what, coordinate with the principal or superintendent, however, that would need to be done, to bring in speakers, or, I don't know, run after school program,
Yeah.
Almost like remember like back in the day that the dare camp?
Yeah.
I'm not saying do something at that scale, but just something small, like a couple days a week or I don't know, I'd like to try to keep that money.
So I had a discussion with John Franzoni there over a year ago when we were first starting this effort. The superintendents of all the schools should get together and develop a program that's readily movable from school to school to school. And then you would have the economies of scale and getting a consistent message across. And not much has gone that way.
What are we looking at finding? Do we have a ballpark idea of money?
Probably 24 to 30,000.
Yeah.
Hey, think about it, we could do a lot with $24,000 to $30,000 in resources specifically just for Clarksburg.
And I agree here, the one dilemma, I wake up at night and the one thing I worry about is what they want to do if the money's pooled for all Northern Berkshire. They're going to hire a coordinator that's going to take care of all this. I worry about who is going to run this in Clarksburg, right? Somebody's got to coordinate it. And then I worry about us not using the money or then it goes by the board. And that's why I'm in a dilemma, because it's like, boy, I agree. I would much rather keep this. I think we can do a good job. And I think there's a lot of ideas we can agree on to do, but who's going to make this happen? And that's what the North Adams said, well, that's why we're hiring a coordinator, because they're in the same boat. They say, well, we can't do it here, we gotta hire somebody. But they're gonna have like $1 million from Northern Berkshire coming over the next 5 years, and they're hoping to pay a salary of $100,000 or whatever to a person to coordinate this, to go through the high schools and grammar schools. And I just, again, that's my dilemma, and that's why I'm afraid. I didn't want to say, yes, we will pull the money in, because I don't want to speak for us. And I don't want to say, no, we won't, and then find out that, well, what are we going to do?
My opinion is, I think if we're allocated the $25,000 to $30,000, I think within our own community, I think it'd be fairly easy for the board or whomever makes the decision to identify a person, I think, undertake this task. I think there'd be more people that would come out up front to volunteer their time, or whether they do it for, a small stipend or resource for the year, to help coordinate. There's enough medical professionals that live within town. There's enough people, I think, that this is, affected immensely on a personal level. You'd be surprised how many people, I think, would come out of the woodwork to really kind of take this opportunity and run with it, knowing that the resources are there, they have the support of the town, I think, moving forward.
Okay, so then, I don't know if we all can go to the next meeting as a group, or if you want, me, I certainly will go. And,
When's the next meeting, Bill?
well, they postponed it, and
Okay,
they
today,
haven't
yeah.
come up with another date
Okay.
yet. But that would be the thing, to tell them, because right now, I went to a meeting last week that was in Pittsfield, and there was a person in North Adam, don't mention names or whatever, that more or less said that we agreed to pool money, and we never really did. We agreed to listen and see what the
My
options
concern,
were.
I think especially, is it was, a city the size of Pittsfield, a city the size of North Adams, and some of these other larger municipalities. $1 million seems like a lot collectively throughout the Berkshires. $1 million get swooped up like that, and we'll see, we could have expected 25 to 30, and we might be lucky at the end of the day if we're,
Yeah.
5 to 10, and say, oh, hey, this is what we all agreed to, and we're gonna pool.
Okay, so I just don't know if you.
No, I'm fine with attending though,
Okay.
whatever it's rescheduled.
All right, and
That's
then
fine.
We'll keep you guys posted on the
Okay.
comings and goings of that committee,
Yeah,
you guys.
well, I sent them the email that I told Andrew, who's going to be in charge of it, that I would like to invite, he had to speak, is there anybody else you want to invite there? And I put Colton and Dan's name down that they should be invited. So, but if not, I mean, when I get it, I certainly will pass it on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, again, I just didn't want to step out of line and
Nope.
have my opinion be the board's. Okay, employee handbook update. I know, I thank Kelly for all the work she's done on trying to update our handbook, which is 20 years old. I know that it went out to Kyle and Carl.
been working on it.
And I know people working on it. I actually have a new copy, and I've just been so busy the last couple of days, I'm sorry to say I haven't had time to really go through the whole thing. But I would like to hear, does anybody have any issues so far? Or, I know Carl, I spoke to you, one of the issues might have been with the retirement board and
And the comp time.
the comp time and
I think
things.
that we worked out the comp time, and the retirement board issue is not an issue.
What was
Is
the
that an issue?
retirement board issue?
Okay.
On the determination of 20 hours versus full-time versus part-time, and what their definition was.
Oh, yeah, that never changed from the last handbook to this handbook.
And I also don't know if Kyle, especially department head, I don't know if he has gotten back to anybody.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he-
So he-
Carl, Kyle, and I all met together.
Oh,
We
thank
went
you.
over,
quite a bit.
All right, well then the question is, would we like to take the next 2 weeks and not approve it till the next time?
Yeah, well, we're not ready,
You're not ready, okay.
no.
So what,
also sent it to the library, and I sent it to each employee here.
okay,
Marilyn's on board, Rochelle's on board. Daniel hasn't got back to us. Kyle's on page, I think, 14 out of,
okay,
but his, there was things like policy and handbook, he wanted it to be called one or the other. Really the biggest thing was the Sunday pay that was overlooked.
Okay.
That was in the last handbook, that was in this one. That has been corrected.
okay, thank you, Kelly, for all your work on this. Then what I would like to do, because I will apologize, because I had a tendency to rush things through, because I like to get things done. And I think I didn't realize that Kyle and some people really hadn't had a chance to look at it. So I apologize for at the last meeting, okay, let's go and let's look at this and approve it. But what I'd like to do, I don't want this just to linger on either, so maybe in the next 2 weeks, if we can try to
Make a
finalize
decision,
this,
yeah.
so that we can make a decision and approve it at the next meeting. Does that sound good?
That's the goal.
Go with that.
Kyle, you okay with that?
Yep.
Okay. The former police chief filing open roles in PT capacity. What does that mean?
Filling.
I'm sorry, filling, in PT capacity. So,
Part-time.
Chief, we're looking to see some of the things that obviously are,
LTC,
yep,
the assistant treasurer as needed at the direction of the treasurer, obviously. Emergency management, we need definitely, as the LTC component is, and
how about firearm identification cards?
That's out.
That's all.
So that's what that's about, okay.
license to carry. yeah.
Did you say constable?
Constable for elections.
Not yet,
Okay.
we were getting there. And obviously, we need a constable, and we also need to have somebody appointed to be constable for the election, because you have to have a police officer there.
Okay, so Chief, do you want, anything you want to add to this?
Raise
or
your right hand, Mike.
Anything you want to add to this?
So are you on board for doing all the things we just
Yeah, me and
mentioned?
Carl had talked about it. I mean, a lot of it's like, something here, the constable's only like probably 4 things a year.
Yeah.
It's, 2 elections, our town election and
Yeah.
for the presidential or second one.
Primaries, yeah.
And then for the postings
Of the
for
warrants.
both of those, of the warrants for them. So that's kind of a small thing. LTCs I've been doing for years, so to me it's kind of easy, so with the experience, but yeah.
I know we had talked, I think, last meeting about the sex offender registry. Was there any, does that need to be
I
a
still have to get a
separate?
hold of them about that, but I think that's law enforcement that has to handle that.
Okay, so that'll just have to
that's-
defer to the state
yeah,
police? Okay,
Yeah, I'll make contact with them and
okay.
advise them that, and no longer have a police. Through that week with everybody I had to call through the
Wrap
state.
things up,
CJIS,
yeah,
and
yeah.
So there were a few that didn't get a phone call.
No,
Okay,
understand.
and Kelly, this would affect you obviously being treasurer. We were hoping that Mike would help fill in a lot and can help you when he can, so that would be part of his hours when needed. So if you go on vacation, maybe he can help you out there. So I just want to make sure that's okay.
Yeah, and I just kind of wanted to talk like how that is budgeted, like obviously this financial year is already budgeted for, but like next year is like, am I upping that salary? Is that being paid out of my budget? You know what I mean? How does that all kind of roll through?
We never have, but he's been the assistant treasurer since 2016, taking it on in that role as his
But
former
being paid
role.
as from the police department?
Yes,
then,
yes,
With
I-
us not, no longer having that and I guess budgeting for it. Would we be-
Well, there'd probably just be a reallocation of funds come budget season.
We'll have to, by next budget season, re-establish
Yes,
that whole thing, because right now, I mean, for LTC.
Depending on the continued status of the
We're done
police
under the
department.
chief of
Yeah.
police and the police department.
David, make sure you specify that. 'cause
Right,
I've got a few phone
Kind
calls.
of, but if you don't have a police chief and police department, that budget's kind of gonna go away, and you'd have to reallocate it to
You
different.
probably have administrative police,
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, for the rest of this year,
line, yeah.
the money is in the budget for the police department, all the money would come out of there. And then at the town meeting, or, getting the budget together, we would have to
That
have a
money's all
line.
budgeted
Where that
into
one-
that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Or,
Well, if we appoint him as,
Services.
like Dan was just reminding me, an administrative police chief / constable.
So it'll just be a salary line.
So then the
Budget.
budget is still intact and in place, and he's the administrative police chief. It's just not in function.
Fine with me.
So how are we planning on doing this? Is it gonna be a on-call basis, or do you plan on having certain hours for LTCs?
the
Which I've done.
LTCs, I'm looking into 3 different ways of doing it. The easiest would be probably just having a few hours a week, probably evenings, and
Yeah.
it's gonna have to be done, I'm gonna have to be down North Adams to do it.
Yeah.
I need to use their computers to have access. to the state computer to log it in. And then there's, like the mailing of licenses and that I can do from here.
Would it make more sense just to do, like, by appointment for the LTC renewals?
Well, that's the other thing. I
Just
was
basically,
thinking of
even
is
if you could backlog
instead
like
of
2 or 3
sitting here
every
for
couple of
2
weeks.
hours and having nobody show up, if maybe having it set up where people call,
Yeah.
they go, we just schedule in and say, okay, Wednesday evening.
Yeah, if you do
This
it
time.
twice a month or whatever.
And
yeah,
then
this-
when I go down, I get actually people, so that's one thing I want to avoid, is just sitting there for,
No, I think that's the best idea. It's by appointment only, whether you try to have it set, whether it's the first and third or second and fourth, Wednesday night every other week.
Right.
You try to allot, I don't know, 5:30 is,
if, have it
Yeah.
looking at scheduling maybe once a week,
It's really, it's kind
in
of.
the evening or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that would be, and then that way, I just have to meet with them, do it in, get it into the system. But at least I know I got people coming. If we get people
Yeah.
calling, it'll be all just in that same time frame.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, just so you know you're not gonna get overloaded one night. You know what I'm saying? You can,
I know we do get every once in a while people that may work second shift.
Yeah.
Or work at a point where they can't get there. And
Yeah.
those will be special occasions where we'll just
Yeah.
specially set up a time for them
yeah,
that I just meet with them and do it.
makes sense.
So that's the way I'm looking at, trying to do that, at
Okay.
least once a week, being down there. And then, with like the mailings and stuff like that, I do from here, but I can do that within, so we're kind of talking like 12, 15 hours a week, three days a week I do, probably Tuesday, since we're closed on Fridays, Tuesday, Thursdays, dealing with emergency management, LTCs, and whatever else.
Yeah, I'm completely fine with you. Basically, you allocate your time within. I'm-
That's when I do the posting with constable.
Yeah.
Unless it has to be done on a Monday, but, usually on
If you came in on Monday, you just
Yeah.
don't work Tuesday,
Right, I just move it to, instead of Tuesday or Thursday, if we have an election on Monday, well, then I'd come in on Monday.
Yeah.
And I would do that day for that.
Yeah.
And then you'd also be willing to be flexible, which I appreciate very much. Like, if you know our treasurer is going to be on a 2-week vacation or whatever, all right, you might be working 20 hours for those 2 weeks, or 30 hours those 2 weeks. And then you would just, you got slow time the following week. So you'd average maybe 15 hours a week.
If I'm not gone.
Yeah, right, obviously.
But I have no problem coming in and going, and setting something up and working with her
Yeah.
on that.
Well, and another thing I was thinking, yeah, I noticed still, like files from the police. There's also the room,
Yeah, that big, junk room.
yeah, the room back there be clean. I was hoping, if you don't mind, it's okay with you, in the capacity as police chief, I mean, you know all that stuff. If you find that, okay, look, and I'm caught up, there's nothing to do this week.
Oh, yeah.
If you will come in and try to, like, clean up that room, clean up the files, do whatever you can
That-
to help
that's-
out.
Yeah, like.
I gotta assume he's probably thought about that since he's.
Right,
That's how I know,
because during the close-up and everything, and then we got busy,
Yeah.
it was kind of hard to do.
Get
I know
everything done.
we had talked about
Yeah.
saying, well, probably maybe a month ahead, I'd do all this, but then reality sets in when you're in that month and you're getting calls for this.
Yeah, it was
This
quick.
and this, and you got reports and stuff going on doing it. So, like I said, I kind of figured that we had talked about this, that during that time, so I could take a few hours and do a little bit here because I'm not gonna get called out or bothered with anything, but I would take care of that.
Yeah.
Try to straighten some of that stuff out in the police department and, that back room, that kind of like from the time when we got flooded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Catch all of
Yeah.
them. Just, clean that out, go through it. Some of it we could probably get rid of.
Yeah, and I guess my point is, so if, like some people may think, well, that may not require 15 hours a week, but I think you can stay busy, because I really think these things,
Here and there.
well, I think these things need to be done.
I'm not concerned about Chief keeping himself busy for 15 hours. My opinion on this is, Please just don't exceed those hours just for your own.
That's what I would, when we're talking.
Enjoy your retirement, don't feel like you're obligated.
15 hours a week is kind of like what we would have budgeted. If it comes on dead days that there's nothing, because other days that,
Yeah.
other times there might be a little bit more hours a
Exactly.
week. I'm not gonna sit around twiddling my thumbs.
Exactly.
If there's nothing to do, like, in the beginning part, there's probably gonna be plenty for me,
Yeah.
but once I get this stuff all
Yeah.
straightened out, there's nothing to do. I probably could find something else to do and just say, well, see, I'm done for the day.
Exactly.
So instead of being
Yeah.
here 5 hours, for 3 days, I may turn around and go, yeah, today I'm going home. Well, if something
That's-
happens, Monday or something, somebody give me a call and, we can do something like that.
I'm good with that, I don't want you to feel obligated.
I
like you're-
think
back
that'd be
here.
as much of running over, because anytime I do over, is definitely, I'm gonna just take it off on the flip side.
Okay.
Like at the elections, it'll be like, you're usually run about 8 to 10 hours.
Yeah.
So that may be, close to
Sure.
what I do that week.
Yeah.
I may come in for a few hours if I have to do something else, but that one day may be my week thing.
Okay.
If not, then I take off. But it won't be an exceeding.
All right, well,
That sounds great.
we appreciate this very much, and I think, are you okay with 15 hours, Dan?
Yeah, but I mean, I guess it'd be probably a max of 15 hours.
Yeah,
Because it could be,
12 or 15.
And that's what you're looking at? Yeah, you can do 12 if you want to do 12, like if you want to do 3-4 hour days,
Yeah.
and say 12, that's fine too. It's pretty much your call, I think.
Right. I mean, right now, I don't know how, because I don't know what we're gonna have going on right now to keep, busy. So I'm looking at 15 now, and maybe 12.
Yeah, I think if he comes back in a few months and says, hey, it's really not adding up to 15 hours,
Yeah.
we'll make the adjustment.
Okay. And then the next question would be, what would the salary be for
Well, we
that?
discussed between 28 and 30,
Yeah, I think so.
so I guess just a vote of the
Yeah, well, I
board.
mean, as a police chief, it was
3260. yeah.
3260, which I'm sure Mike would probably like to stay at that. And again, in my opinion, it's like, well, the chief of police, not only is he in danger, but it's a tough job. So even though he's doing a lot of that work, I guess I was hoping that we could do it for a little lower price. So I was talking maybe 28 or 30, and I just didn't know what you guys thought. So that's,
I'm fine with the 30. I think Chief Williams has earned the compensation for his many years of service to the town and his flexibility that's always been beneficial in the town's factor. So I think it's a show of goodwill and appreciation to Chief for his many years of service.
I'm good with that.
all right, are you okay with 30?
I'm fine with it. Yeah.
Okay,
I appreciate it.
but we appreciate you. Carl, I think we can make that motion tonight, or is there
Yeah,
anything else?
so if we want to drop down to 2021 and 22,
Okay,
and just put this all to bed, we're good.
all right, so we could make a motion for all three, if you wanna.
For all three, or would it
22.
be, is the constable, would that be considered the administrative chief of police position?
I think that I would add it and say appoint Mike Williams as administrative police chief / constable.
I make a motion to appoint Mike Williams as the administrative chief / constable for the town of Clarksburg.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Now, does that also,
I would, might as well, it won't hurt.
right,
Do it separate, okay. I make a motion to appoint Michael Williams as constable for elections for the town of Clarksburg.
Second.
all in favor? Aye.
I make a motion to appoint Michael Williams as emergency management director and assistant treasurer for the town of Clarksburg.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, chief, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, chief,
Thank
thank
you,
you.
chief.
And I will
Just when you thought you were out, we pulled you right back in.
on the 4th, I'm taking off Wednesday for a week camping.
All right,
That's my last trip.
Don't let any of this affect any of your vacations. Don't feel obligated to be here, take your vacations, enjoy your vacations. This is just
Yeah, don't
And
overdo it.
as needed to help us out, you
I
know.
already took off early the last time, I was gone for 2 weeks.
The town is so lucky to have you, and we appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate it, and
All right.
I enjoy being back.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Quick question, do we need to do it, because last meeting we appointed Carl as constable, do we need to?
But only for a week.
Oh, no, we did it for 1 week.
Yeah, only for a week. So I did it, and yeah.
It was just the post for the,
I couldn't remember if we, how long we did it. I know we was a temporary, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, we said for 1 week, that,
Okay.
Okay.
make it finite.
all right. so
Okay,
eight's done.
that's
Perfect.
good. He's a wonderful, yeah, we're lucky to have him. All right, library heater.
So I went up to the library and I did get a contractor from Adams Plumbing and Heating. The heating portion is working, but the blower is not. And the other thing I found out that I was not aware, it's an air conditioning unit, but it has the old, soon-to-be, no longer made Freon type of coolant. He said, you can spend your money. But the problem is that in a couple of years, when we do
What's the fuel source of the heating for the heater up there?
the school's furnaces,
Oh, okay.
so it's,
So this heater in the library works off the furnaces from the
and
school?
plus they're newer too. So when we do the heat pumps for the school, that would be the time that'll take care of it all. So it's going to be a 3-year project for the heat pumps, which is down lower. So he recommended that, unless you really want to blow, really, that's the only reason that we would be blowing through that, so it might be a good reason not to do it.
So is there no heat? Is there going to be no heat?
No, there is heat. They've been like this for 5-6 years.
Okay.
And it was, how it was conveyed to me, I thought that there was no heat coming. It's one of them univent type of things where they run the heating lines through it and blow air over them and into the room. And it was my understanding that it didn't work at all, but the other ones were working well enough. They kept the library comfortable. Well, lo and behold, this one is working, so
Okay. So we'll get through it, and then we'll do it right.
yes.
All right, sounds good. Library tree removal?
So I've got 2 bids in hand right now. I'm waiting for the third. And once we go with that, obviously we have to do good business practices, so we'll go with the lowest once it's received. And once that's done, then I can make them public.
All righty. And next on the agenda is the School Green Communities effort.
So we applied for a Green Communities grant. And I'll tell you, this past summer kind of opened my eyes. It's not going to be out of reason to think that we're not going to have hot days, school dismissal, very similar to snow day, school dismissal in the future. And as a matter of fact, there were a number of instances where schools were being closed on the other side of the state because of heat and humidity. We have no AC in our elementary school at all. And the best way to transition to green energy and green infrastructure is to go with the heat pump effort. So we've had our consultants, and we've put together a first round proposal to start greening the school further, but the effort would be to provide with electric heat and air conditioning. And it's going to take 3 separate grants, one piggybacked on the other.
Okay.
So this would be the first one. It's $199,000, and it's already gone out the door.
Okay.
So I'll keep you posted on that.
All righty. Next is the emergency generator for Town Hall.
Okay, so we have to earmark the rest of our ARPA funds, which is in the $20,000 range, and I was thinking the heater in the library, but this makes more sense, is to do a generator here at Town Hall, emergency generator, so that when we have instances, and we have, over the last 18 months, I think we've closed Town Hall 2 or 3 times, all day long, sometimes 2 days, because we had no power. And our phone system doesn't work when we have no power, our computers don't work when we have no power, we have a whole lot of no power, we have a whole lot of no work getting done. So that's where I would recommend, would be the ability to deliver government services, especially in emergency management type of situations. So I'm in the process of getting the first bid on that, but that'll at least give me a range of how much to commit in ARPA.
Okay.
And I obviously have to get 2 more bids. And once we do that, then we'll move forward with that.
Yeah, and I agree, town hall is definitely the most important building for that, like say emergency.
Absolutely, I think town hall, school, and then
Yeah.
obviously other instances.
Alrighty. All right, on North Holton Street, engineering update.
They're working on it, there's really nothing new
Okay.
on that. And, you know, we can go into that, the next, number 14, I guess.
Sure, talking about the mass grant.
Yeah.
So we've heard now from all the grants that
We have, so, and they didn't notify us till Friday, so we did get a grant for $140,000 to match the $450,000 grant for the design work for the replacing of Briggsville water system. We did get a $55,000 grant to add to the $20,000 grant from DLTA to do a master plan, an open space plan, and a recreational plan. Our master plan goes back to 1965, and so it is almost as old as I am, and it's out of date, unlike me.
You don't have to write that, Tammy.
I'm just being a wise guy, gotta do what you're good at. And it also opens up the door for other grants. So one of the opening lines in some of them is that you have to have an updated master plan, and we clearly are lacking in that area. So that will be coming.
All right, and that's funds now from Esplanade. There's a planning board.
Yes, they're going to be spearheading that effort. Now, on the bad side, we did not get the grant for South Middle Road paving. We did not get the other grant that we wrote for the retaining wall on Cross Road. And we did not get the other grant for working with North Adams on replacing the sewer and water lines on Millard Avenue and the water lines on Southern View Avenue because they're tired, and also that's a site of some rather heavy flooding and stormwater runoff, which caused a whole lot of problems during the flood event of July 10th of 2023. So we'll redouble our efforts and
Yeah, and I just like to let everybody know that we worked hard. Carl worked very hard to get all these grants in there on time. They have a one-step program, which makes it a lot easier through the state. But because of the one-step program, we feel that obviously a lot of towns and little towns now can put in for a lot of grants. And I truly believe that there's just so much competition out there that it wasn't our turn this time. Like last year, we did get the grant to doing the upper part of Middle Road. So we're just going to have to figure out what we can do and try to talk to our local officials to see if they can help us in any way, make sure that we get these grants for next year. So we'll just keep working on it. And you talked about the Briggsville Water District.
Yes.
Next. Okay,
Yes.
next is digital equity effort update.
Okay, so we got a grant, and we've been working on this, so it's not a new grant, for digital equity to make sure that everybody in town has both access to and knowledge of online computer usage. And we're still in the planning stage of what the people need and what the end result is going to look like. So some of the things that we have on the table is, some training space for people, probably my age and above, who might be uncomfortable with computers and/or safety and/or getting phished or spammed or hacked or you name it, and I'm sure that there's plenty of people who have been frightened from the internet. So some safety protocols and etiquettes and things of that nature. So, buying some computers and locating them. And I've asked Dan from the library to participate because I think that would be the ideal location for training, since it's our next most open office area that has people going to it routinely. But again, we're going to...
Isn't there an internet service issue at the library though?
No, that's
Or
at
at
the
the
community
community
center.
Okay.
Yeah. That's another issue we're trying to deal with, but as part of the digital equity, if we can't solve it through the cable contract, because less I say about Spectrum, the better, then we're looking at doing some wireless from the DPW building, which has it, high-speed internet, and doing it over the river and through the woods to the community center in a like wireless. So, because I think they only have 2 megs service which is like online with dial-up AOL back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If that.
And that's on a good day.
Okay, we had bulky waste collection on 10/12, October 12th.
Yeah, so we had our 23rd, I might add. I've done it every one. So we collected more, quite a bit more metal this year than we did last year, but I also had to get another dumpster. And the solid waste district did something just a tad bit different this year, in that we said we're not going to charge for the metal, but if the folks in town would like to make a donation to the Clarksburg school roof replacement, that would be fine. And we raised $710 for that effort, and that's in a 4-hour period, so that's pretty good. And then also the district itself, the monies raised from the sale of the metal will be donated also to that same. So I'm thinking that we're going to be looking at adding about $1,000 to the school roof stabilization repair fund.
Yeah. All right, sounds good. For Cynthia, thank you. Removal for safety.
It's already gone.
All right.
Where was that?
That was
First
it.
one right in front of the sign.
Yeah, and that was, it was blocking the sign, and what I was worried about when I was coming up, because I hardly ever come up this way, because I live on your end of town, but if I wanted to read the sign, I had to wait till I got up close to it, and then, that's not
Well,
good.
the other thing too is coming out of that driveway, you can't see traffic from up this way
Yeah.
very clearly. And so, I donated them to the town, planted them. I'm okay with it. Safety is more
All
important.
right, so that's good. Okay, update on the audit?
So the audit is in its final stages. They did send us a draft. Once it's final, we certainly will be more than willing to release it. So that's where we are with that. From the draft, I don't see anything not anticipated,
Okay. So let's see what's over there. All right, now we gotta review and approve the liquor license and entertainment license for Golden Eagle that we have to do every year. It's an annual thing. So we need to have a motion to approve the license, and then we have to sign off on it.
So there have been no instances that I'm aware of complaints of any sort against the Golden Eagle. So just so you know,
And we are the licensing authority,
you are.
so if you can make a
I
motion.
make a motion to approve the renewal of the liquor license and entertainment license for the Golden Eagle Restaurant.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, so we'll just sign off
Is it typical or yearly renewals for other towns, or is it just?
Every year by November. And the entertainment license is also a Sunday entertainment license. And if you could make one more motion to be inclusive of the Sunday entertainment license, because.
Make a motion to approve the Sunday entertainment license for the Golden Eagle Restaurant.
Perfect. Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
One of them blue laws.
Massachusetts special. I wonder if you can still walk and chew gum at the same time. That was on the,
Okay, Dan, so I'll
that was
just
for
do
the
that
longest
whole.
time.
I think we can't spit on the sidewalk
Yeah,
on
that
Sunday
was-
after church.
yeah, that was-
Something
that was a
like
lot.
that, God knows, you
I
know.
remember growing up as a kid and we found out, I'm like, no, there's no way those are still in place.
Oh, yeah.
The happy hour one was the one I was surprised didn't pass through the Senate. I thought that was gonna be a given. Especially coming from the Cape.
Okay, so last on the list is we're going to approve the warrants, which we have right here, and we'll look at. So, does anybody else have anything for tonight's meeting?
Michelle? Elsie, you got anything?
All right. Well, we'll adjourn the meeting at 5:05.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.